My own kids, I tell them go to finance or go to law school. If you go to law school, they're going to teach you how to think, to analyze, to be detailed, or go into finance. It's the language of money. How important is money in this world? Pretty darn. So why not speak the language of money? If you're fluent in it, you have such an advantage.
So what personality trait or character trait do you feel like has been the most beneficial as you not only grew, but kept your blinders off and looked at and got into different types of businesses in different locations?
I think about this sometimes, like, why did I get successful and some of my peers are, doing the 9-to-5 thing? And you have to ponder that sometimes. Like, what happened? Just luck, just work, usually a combination of the two. But personality things with me, I think that really played a factor was I was always an outsider. Like, we moved like every year. My dad wasn't in the military, he's just a gypsy. So we moved. So I never had long-term friends. So I never really got into a certain rut or stride to where I'm doing what my buddies are doing and they're all doing this, so I'm gonna do it too. I was always on the outside, so that made me kind of think that way. Like, I don't need to get the career that's impressing people, that's gonna look good on my resume. I could really march to my own beat. I think that that's underrated, being an outsider. It sets you up for probably a really real high or a real low if you do it wrong. So I think that's played a big part. I think also my choice to drop out of school played a part. I see people way smarter than me that finished, and it really put them on a path for the good life, but not the great life. I think we all hear that, and they have a good life. I think mine has been more colorful and more adventure and those sorts of things because of those risks.
I tell my son, my 15-year-old, all the time, because he's like super dedicated to sports and he's a good young man, and he doesn't want to be at parties where people are drinking or smoking or vaping. It's one of those things, like a kid nowadays can't turn around without a kid vaping in their face. And he's like, but Dad, it's hard because all my friends are there. I said, the cool thing is when you're my age, you won't remember half their names. And the ones that you remember their names, it's probably for the wrong reason. Yeah. I said, so just take solace in the fact that you're committed to where you're going. And, because look, he says he's toured Harvard, MIT, wow, Yale, and Columbia.
Wow.
And he's a freshman in high school. And I've always told him, I was like, look, you'll play Division I sports or you'll go to an Ivy League school. And he's like, well, Dad, he wants to be an entrepreneur. I was like, that's cool. You'll go have that network, you'll get that education, and you'll come up with a great business idea, and we'll do it together.
Yeah.
And then we'll do another one. Then we'll do another one.
Nope.
I'd love to jump on this topic, and just because, and also to piggyback on what you were talking about, because in the executive MBA program at SMU, to address what you were saying earlier, I would say in my cohort of 35 people, there's only about 4 or 5 entrepreneurs. Some have exits, some have success, but the rest are like that high-level executive VP or trying to get to that level. They all do very, very well, that 150 to 300,000 salary range, which I would argue is extremely, extremely good. But there's a ceiling. Some of them may get to $1 million a year, but probably if they can get to 400 or 500 a year, that's probably the most they'll ever go. But as an entrepreneur, like with me, with what I'm doing, even with this company, I eat shit daily. But if it works, then my ceiling is, I don't have a ceiling. So my floor is way, way lower, but I don't have a ceiling. And then to address what you were talking about, I think schools matter. I think that's one of the biggest problems that doesn't get conveyed to younger people is where you go matters. What you study matters less than where you go. Because at SMU, especially in DFW, that carries weight. Now, my undergrad from North Texas, nobody cares. UT carries weight, A&M, and that alumni, oh, you went to SMU? Cool, let's talk. Hey, I'm an alumni from SMU, love to have been here. Cool, I'll take that meeting. Whereas I went to, so-and-so university is nobody ever heard of.
Yeah.
Look, I told both of my sons from
So
an
I
early
think
age.
Harper should be good.
Yeah. The most
You approve?
I approve.
The most successful people I know are either like some silly, crazy entrepreneur, self-made story, or they have a degree, either a major or minor in finance. Because you don't understand how much money is really out there. I mean, everybody throws around the trillion number like it's kind of like a cool thing. But when I worked with Blackstone, to make a $1 billion decision was a weekly occurrence. Like, when we're talking about, well, we'll do a $200 million securitization and retain the B piece. How much is that? 50 million? Okay, yeah, we'll just do cash with that. And then we'll lever that and we'll sell that and we'll sell this to a life insurance company. And you're number one, to talk about a conversation I had to stop several times to ask, what the hell are you talking about? But like, you get through it and they're like, okay, so they're gonna do a $200 million transaction. That's what you started with. And they're gonna make 12 points of net profit on that money. And you're just like, whoa, that's a lot of coin. Like, so when you learn the way the financial system works and the way money works and the way you can arbitrage, you can get the securities, sell covered calls, you can buy a AAA rated bond and then go like get a loan against it. And people are like, well, why would they ever buy it for 3%? It's like, because they can get an 8% loan against it. And before you know it, they're actually making 18% on their freaking money because they're playing the financial system. So I've told both of my sons, I don't give a shit what you major in. I don't care if you actually do that. I don't care. You're gonna go to college or the Marine Corps, your choice, and you're gonna get a major or a minor in finance. Or you're on your own, good luck. Because I didn't get that education.
Right.
And I need more of that because I intend to have a pile of money. And that knowledge, the lady that won't work for less than $1 million for friends and family, the reason is she knows how to look at things different than the rest of the world. The rest of the world does not understand the knowledge she has.
And one of the things in that conversation I had with her about the network, and this is
Does she talk to you? I'm just kidding. Hello, write her a check?
Oh, shit, I can't. Yeah, I wish. No, but because I was talking to her, because like one of the funny things I tell people is like, especially being in school, is like academically I'm no help, but networking I got you. And I was telling her that, and she's like, that is probably the best skill you can have. And this is after she gave a lecture about all these case studies that she had. My friend here, my friend here, my friend here, and there's all these giant people. And it gave me a little bit more confidence in business, just hearing from someone like that saying, no, that's a really good skill set. A lot of people don't have that.
Right.
And now I'm like, okay, so how do I make money from that?
Right.
But the overall point is it'll come.
So
Karma,
it's weird
reciprocity.
to hear successful entrepreneurs talking about, we didn't go to college and one of the best things could have been that you dropped out. But then I'm also then saying that I am requiring my children to. And it may sound like hypocrisy, but I think there's an old saying, weak men make hard times make strong men make good times, and good times make weak men, right? And they go circle. And as a dad, as a leader of my family, I'm trying to find ways to empower my children to have that aggression or that desire just in a different direction. Maybe it's not, they have to, as you said, eat shit for the first decade of the business and work 8 days a week, right? And maybe instead they can think bigger and achieve a different level of consciousness and contemplation than I have been able to.
Well, education can mean a lot of things. Education could be university. Education could be hard knocks. Could be the military. It could be the fact that you could, Ty Lopez and have 1,000 books in your garage that you don't read, that you say you read. That could be education. That was shows. I don't know, Ty. I'm just joking. But but it could be anything. But the key thing is that you have to keep learning. So we started with credit cards. You're educated on that because you were fascinated, and then you just jumped into those blogs.
Yeah.
So you have to have that desire to learn.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think your suggestion for your kids to do finance is exactly, just because it was a good decision for me not to go to school, my own kids, I tell them go to finance or go to law school. If you go to law school, they're going to teach you how to think, to analyze, to be detailed, or go into finance. It's the language of money. How important is money in this world? Pretty darn. So why not speak the language of money? If you're fluent in it, you have such an advantage. Not just in consumer purchases, not just in how to negotiate a rate on your house, but the whole spectrum. It's a massive advantage. If you can speak the language of money, I think it's more important than learning some coding skill that is going to pigeonhole you for the year 2024, and then your skill set is gone 2 years later.
There's a reason, to your point, the language of money. So SMU Cox School of Business, the money that the Cox School of Business brings in pays for all the other arts.
Yeah.
So even though SMU is this big old institution that has all more money than whatever, it's actually the School of Business that pays for all of it. And then the grad school for Cox pays for the Cox School of Business. So all these other little institutions, the law school and the arts and all this other stuff, they're there because of the Cox School of Business. And again, to your point, it's the language of money.